So you wanna play
OVERVAPE DAO.
Well, first you start with the build. Overvape is a term used when the team is able to do both overload and vaporize reactions as the main source of its damage. By putting an electro in the team, the pyro DPS can deal some overload damage while also doing more consistent reverse vaporized reactions due to electrocharge prolonging the hydro aura on the enemy. This means C6 xingqiu and C2 yelan are not as highly needed because the hydra application has quote-unquote increased because of electrocharge. Aside from those two, Hutao's other possible teammates for this are fischl for the electro application and off-field sub DPS, and zhongli, thoma, or C for Yanfei for survivability and comfort. To make artifact farming a little easier, rather than getting the best 4-piece set for Hutao and her teammates, except for sports, we'll focus on getting their desired stats instead. For Hutao, she can use any 2-piece of Tenacity of the Millelith, Wanderer's Troop, Gilded Dreams, and Crimson Witch. For weapons, she can use Staff of Homa or Staff of Scarlet Sands for 5-star, and Dragon's Bane or Deathmatch for 4-star. As for supports, xingqiu and yelan can use any 2-piece of HOD, Emblem, Noblesse, any of the 2-piece attack sets for xingqiu, and Tenacity of the Millelith for yelan. Fischl can use any 2-piece of Thundering Fury, and any of the 2-piece attack sets, while Thoma and Yanfei will use a 4-piece Noblesse, and Zhongli will use a 4-piece Tenacity. The rotation. To start the rotation, start with Zhongli's hold skill, then switch to yelan and use her skill and burst. Switch to fischl and use her burst or skill, then switch to Hutao and use her skill. Do one normal attack and charge attack, then jump or dash. Do this 8 times.
Solidify. Gotcha. Here comes the catch. By royal decree.
The pros and cons. Starting with the advantages, they're excellent in single target scenarios. Xingqiu, yelan, fischl, and Hutao are superior single target DPSs since the damage they deal is mostly single target. They're decent in AoE scenarios with few heavy enemies. Overload can increase the team's DPS high enough that this team can deal with a few enemies, as long as they're also easy to group. They're useful against stages that require an electro. With the release of Sumeru, more mobs and bosses have required an electro in the team. This team variation for Hutao is more preferred when Sumeru mobs and bosses like Asemon and its babies are in the abyss floors. Constellations for xingqiu and yelan aren't as highly required. As I said earlier in the builds, the hydro aura on the enemy still persists because of electrocharge. This is especially useful for yelan since getting her C2 is very expensive. Now for the disadvantages. They're weak in AoE scenarios with light enemies. This team lacks crowd control, and xingqiu, yelan, fischl, and Hutao are too single target focused with only overload as its source of AoE damage. Even then, it's not recommended to run this team against light opponents because it only lowers the team's DPS by pushing them away from Hutao. They're a high-risk, high-reward gameplay. To play Hutao, it's recommended to animation cancel her charge attack to maximize her damage during her infusion duration. It's done by tapping on the jump or dash button a few frames after the charge attack damage is dealt. Not learning how to do this can position her away from the opponents, especially against light enemies. Additionally, it's required to manage her stamina properly, otherwise she may not have any stamina left for dodging enemy attacks. Some ER issues with Pre-C4 Thoma and Yanfei. Both of them have a high ER requirement, which makes them difficult to use with Hutao, even though she herself generates a good amount of energy. It's because they don't produce enough particles for themselves, even with the Favonius weapon. And that's it for
OVERVAPE DAO.
I hope you liked this video. Leave any questions you have in the comments and I'll try to answer them as best as I could. Also subscribe if you want more team guides for the current banner characters. See you in the next video!